Hello, everyone. Today I will present one of the chapters in my thesis. The chapter title is about female labor force participation in Arab and non-Arab Muslim majority countries. I am a student in the University of East Anglia, and my supervisor, Sarah Conley and Fabio Arrico. The presentation consists mainly of six sections, introduction, brief literature review. I'll go through the measurement and countries classification, and then I'll present the econometric model, following by the results and very brief conclusion. Okay, so basically the main point of this chapter was that the Arab countries in the Middle East have the lowest share of female labor force participation. And we wanted to know the reason behind this. The average female labor force participation in the Arab world was 19.2% in 1990s, and it only increased to 21% by 2018. So this tells us that it's just very small increase over all these years. So we wanted to know what are the reasons behind this. Some researchers believe that Islam could be the main hindrance for female labor force participation in the Arab countries. However, the main idea in my chapter is that it's not actually Islam because the female labor force participation in the non-Arab Muslim majority countries is actually high. So we are eliminating the impact of Islam by comparing the Arab and non-Arab Muslim countries. As you can see here in this chart, the female labor force participation in selected Arab and non-Arab Muslim majority countries, you can see that the bar chart in blue for Arab countries, and in the orange is for the non-Arab. So you can see that there is a big difference between the Arab and non-Arab, with Arab countries having very low female labor force participation. We looked at there is a huge literature actually who investigated the impact of certain factors on female labor force participation. Some researchers looked at the social context, religion. Some of them look at the level of economic development. Some researchers believe that it's actually the oil dependency and some political factors that could be main factors in female labor force participation especially in the Arab countries. However, my study is different from the previous studies in the following main points. We classified the countries based on something that we call the level of conservatism. And also we classified the countries based on oil dependency. So we didn't treat all Arab countries or non-Arab Muslim countries as they are homogeneous. We differentiate between them. So we said this country is highly conservative, this country is low conservative. The same thing for oil dependency. We said that this country is highly oil dependent, this country is low oil dependent. So this should allow for better understanding for the trend in female labor force participation. So we have also, this study also have a new variable that have never been explored before, which is the religious diversity index. We looked at the impact of this variable on female labor force participation. We explored the impact of the combination of being Arab, conservative, as well as oil dependent country. Also, the paper have a longer period of time and larger number of Arab countries, in addition to conducting a unique comparison between Arab and non-Arab Muslim countries. So as I said earlier, we use the level of conservatism as a measure, and this to construct this measure, we use the female empowerment measured by female seat in the parliament. We use the percentage of female early marriage in each country. We use the percentage of contraceptive use, the adolescent fertility rates. All these four measures were used to construct the conservatism. Also, For oil dependency, we used the average values of 4 measures from 1991 to 2018 compared to the world average for each of the conservatism levels. So as I said earlier, higher conservative country, if the country score higher or lower than the world average in 3 of the 4 measures. So for instance, if the country have higher female empowerment, higher female early marriage, higher contraceptive use comparing to the world average, then we consider this country as highly conservative. And less conservative if the country score higher or lower than the world average in 2 of these 4 measures. In terms of oil dependency, we use the average values of oil rents from 1991 to 2018. So the country will be assumed to be highly oil dependent if it has 15% or more as percentage of its GDP. We also use 20%, 25%, 30% as robustness check. Okay, so here is the econometric models we use. We use the random estimator, whereas Y is the dependent variable, and I refers to the country and T to the time, and alpha refers to the country-specific intercepts, and so on and so forth. In terms of the independent variables, we included a log of real GDP per capita, a log of real GDP squared, and this to test the curvilinear relationship between female labor force participation and the level of economic development. We also use certain of control variables, fertility rates, unemployment. We use the lag unemployment, this to detect the effect of discouraged workers. We also use the urbanization and the religious diversity index. Okay. We have also a couple of dummy variables. We included inequality in education. So for example, a dummy variable that equal to 1, if the country has a male literacy rate higher than the female and 0 otherwise. We also use the Arab dummy variable. So dummy variable for Arab countries only. This is to make it easier to compare between these 2 groups of countries. We also have dummy variable for high conservative and dummy variable for high oil dependency. And here is the result. The first interesting result, which is here, the religious diversity index. You can see that there is strong positive relationship between the religious diversity index and female labor force participation. So in countries where there is a combination of religions, not just, for example, Islam is the domain religion. If the country has the combination of religion, then we are expecting that the female labor force participation to be higher in these countries by around 4 point something units, comparing to countries that have low religious diversity. So this result is very important, and it's very interesting. And here we can see that the Arab dummy variable have a negative effect, and it's so if this is considered to be Arab countries, then we are expecting to see the female labor force participation lower by 8.001%. Here, this one is very important. This is the main aspect in this paper, which is the combination of being Arab, high conservative, and high oil dependent is associated with 37% decrease in female labor force participation. So this result actually can explain clearly why female labor force participation is lower in Arab countries that are considered high conservative and high oil dependent, for example, like Saudi Arabia. and explain why the female labor force participation is high in some Arab countries like Qatar, but they don't consider to be high conservative, but they are, for example, high oil dependent. So by explaining or by including those dummy variables, we are actually providing better understanding for the trend in female labor force participation in these countries. So the conclusion is, briefly, the diversity in religion has a strong positive association with female labor force participation. This suggests that the female labor force participation is high in countries where people live amid a different combination of religions thought, as I said earlier. Apart from Islam, one of the possible factors that result in female labor force participation to be lower in the Arab countries is that it's actually the Arabic culture, where we say that -8%. The Arabic culture could magnify negative perception or beliefs towards female employment, and hence cause lower female labor force participation in these countries. High conservatism and Arabic culture impose high level of restrictions and discouragement on female labor force participation. However, being high oil dependent means high unearned income for those females, represented by the financial support given to those females in those highly oil dependent countries, which ultimately, of course, decrease the female motivation to work and therefore their participation in the labor market. Thank you so much. I hope it's very clear. And I don't know if you have any questions or any comments. I am happy to hear.
Thank you, Dalal, for your